Who wants to speak to those?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Chris Hipkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I am very excited about this because I get to talk about the remaining of my supplementary order papers, which is, actually I'm not sure what number it is because I've got the earlier draft, but it inserts new clause 130A, which in effect would give the... which 305 is it? Thank you very much. Which in effect would give the teaching community the ability to elect membership of the Education Council, and this is something that has come up very much to the fore in the last week or two, following the Education Council's decision to release its draft fee structure for the coming years. And the Education Council has a mixed history in terms of the debate around its establishment. I'm not going to rehash all of that now. That would certainly take a lot. That would certainly prolong the debate extensively. But I don't want to do that. But I want to say that the council was off to a good start, and I do want to give the new Education Council credit for that. They are doing a good job of winning the support and respect of the teaching profession, and I want to acknowledge that. But there's been a bit of heat around their proposal to significantly double, more than double, the fees that teachers pay for their practising certificates each year, and that's generated some resentment from the teaching community, not necessarily because they are not willing to pay that fee, but because if they object to it, they have no real ability to change the council. There is no election to the membership of the council, and I believe in that basic principle, no taxation without representation. And so if the council is going to have the power to tax members of the teaching community, which it does, then the teaching community should have the ability to elect representatives on that council, and that is what my supplementary order paper does. So just to run through the main provisions of it, it would still allow the Minister to appoint 6 of the 13 members of the council. So not quite the majority, but the balance of the members, and that would ensure that there can still be a good diversity and a good representative spread amongst the membership, but the majority of the members would be elected by the profession. So the 7 elected members would be drawn first from the early childhood sector, so elected by early childhood teachers, then from the primary sector, the secondary sector, one teacher educator elected from teacher education providers. One of the things the Education Council does now is regulate the standards for initial teacher education, and so having teacher educators represented on the council makes a lot of sense. A principal representing the primary sector, a principal representing the secondary sector. The intermediates would have to decide which of those they wanted to be included under. And a head teacher, senior teacher or supervisor representing early childhood education. So it ensures that those 3 parts of the system, the early childhood, primary and secondary schools, all have representatives both at the practising level, the teaching level, and at the leadership level, and then gives the Minister the power to appoint the balance of members to ensure a good diversity and spread on the council. So I support this SOP that I've put forward, naturally, and I commend it to the House. The other part of this provision that I would like to address at this stage is the disestablishment of Careers New Zealand. I sat on the Government Select Committee, Government Administration Select Committee, and the Education and Science Select Committee, and I can't remember which one Careers New Zealand reported to. I think it was the Education and Science Select Committee, but effectively where some of their most recent presentations got to was that they have departed a long way from the remit they had when they were first set up, and effectively now they run a very good website. But the question is, do we need a separate statutory body to run a website? And I'm not convinced that we do, so I support the disestablishment of Careers New Zealand, because if what they're doing is running a website, then actually that can be done from any number of other government departments probably much more efficiently. But secondly, the fundamental question to ask is, where is careers advice best delivered? And I think the best careers advice is advice that is intricately linked with the student, the individual student's program of study. And therefore it is actually best delivered within the institutions, both tertiary and secondary, that young people are studying with and older people are studying within. So taking the example of a Year 9 student beginning secondary school, for example, the careers advice that is going to be best for them is advice around how they design their NCEA program of study as they progress through secondary school, Mr Chair.
Tracy Martin.
Oh.
Thank you very much, Mr Chair.